Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular meeting, Monday, May 12th, 7 p.m. Call to order, and we're going to do roll call.
Council President Valerie Reinfeller.
Here.
Council Vice President Andrea DeSillo.
Here.
Councilmember Deb Cassini-Klein.
Here.
Councilmember Shirley Blair Fuller.
Here.
Councilmember Brooke Burchett Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Matt Castiglia.
Here.
Councilmember Greg Padonovich.
Happy to be here.
I'll get Matt.
Present.
Great. We'll do the pledge of allegiance. Stand if you can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Good evening, Chief. All right, we will do public comment. We will start with in our chambers. If you would like to speak, please come up to the podium, state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
So, good day, everyone. My name is Sterling Murray. I live at 20 Lansville Drive, Pittsburgh, PA 15235. Today, I really would like to discuss one about Churchill in general. Let's not talk about the elephant in the room as well about what happened in the past week. Prime example with my address at 20 Lansville Drive, I have my grandmother who is 84 years old, and we had no power. Now let's talk about the trees. We did not want MS on here at one time because they would want to cut down the trees. However, I was impacted with Linwood Way, where Westinghouse along with the church were the reasons why we were all impacted. Now we need to come up with one scenario and conclusion to execute so that this doesn't happen again. Half of Churchill, 75% of Churchill had power at a certain amount of time. After that, 25% did not have power. And guess what? One was blaming Duquesne Light, one was blaming the borough, but guess what? We never got a middle ground, nor did we get any answers from that. So that's why I'm here today, to figure out what we can do as the borough to make sure that this does not impact other people again. Prime example, I've been in my house since 2018. My taxes are more than my mortgage. So the math doesn't matter. So what is the plan that we came up with to make sure that this does not impact again? Anybody would like to speak? I got like 45 seconds left.
Council does not speak during
Oh,
public
we
comment.
don't? Okay. So I'll ask the question. Do we have a game plan on how we're going to make sure this doesn't happen again?
We will discuss that further along the agenda.
Copy that. That's all I had.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments in the room? Great. Please state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Peter Hughes, I live at 1054 Black Horse. I had an issue with a neighbor's fence, and I know that you all have taken it to the magistrate, and basically I understand you have no say over it at this point, but my question is, when you give out a permit, does the permit state exactly what they're supposed to be doing? In this case, the fence was put up backwards, and it clearly states in the code that it's the side was out. Then once they start the work, is there anyone who goes by and inspects what they're doing, so that rather than getting 100 and some odd feet of fence in before anybody looks at it, do they come in right away and say, you're doing it right, you're doing it wrong? And then we're now, and I'm going to the magistrate tomorrow because I understand you all don't have any say in it at this point, but at this point, does the magistrate say that it's meets the code, or does somebody from the borough come back in and look at it again and say, yes, it meets, no, it doesn't?
Yes, we can't comment on pending enforcement actions. As you said, it's at the magistrate, and that's something that's out of our control.
Good, well, I'll speak with the magistrate tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will move on to public comment online. If you would like to speak, please raise your virtual hand. You will be promoted to panelist, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. And just so everybody knows, we have 4 people online. Going once. Going twice. We will close public comment. And we'll move on to our ordinary items to accept by motion.
Madam President, motion to approve the meeting minutes from the April 7th, 2025 council workshop meeting and the April 14th, 2025 regular council.
There's a- Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to the mayor's report. Mr. Mayor?
Oh, thank you, Madam President. The chief has reported to me that there were no significant incidents during the month of March 2025. Our officers handled a total of 951 events for the month. Oh, I'm sorry. April.
Okay.
Let me see.
So make sure you read the right report.
Yeah, 3,723 year to date, consisting of calls for service, proactive patrols, and details affecting within 10 arrests. The department's 5 police vehicles logged a total of 7,042 miles. The combined year-to-date total is 23,995 miles. The ticket summary for the month of March 2025 was 62, 0 non-traffic, 5 parking, and 57 traffic tickets. Magisterial fines for the month were $2,079.69. The year-to-date total was $8,194.61. As we have experienced on April 29th, 2025, in the early evening hours of much of Southwest Pennsylvania experienced a significantly intense thunderstorm that left behind considerable amount of damage, claiming the lives of 3 individuals in the region. According to the National Weather Service, the winds associated with this storm topped 71 miles per hour, the 3rd highest ever recorded at the Pittsburgh International Airport. Fallen trees, along with power and service lines, littered many roadways, some even destroying homes and crushing vehicles. Churchill took a big blow. Thankfully, only 1 person was injured, but not seriously. A declaration of the state of emergency was promptly declared. In the days that followed, elected officials as well as borough staff and personnel of the emergency services have worked tirelessly and diligently to do everything possible to restore some degree of normalcy. This includes placing a multitude of calls and texts to Duquesne Light officials, as well as maintaining contact and providing regular updates to local state representatives and officials. Despite all the best efforts, several residents were without power for as many as 9 days. As we move forward from here and rebuild, please know that we will remain fully committed to our residents and will continue to do whatever is possible to provide the very best of services. This will certainly include follow-ups with Duquesne Light officials to ensure this kind of unprecedented outage never occurs. Details and other related statistics concerning the police department during the month of April 2025 are attached to the police department reports. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Madam President, motion to accept the mayor's report for May 2025. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to the treasurer's report.
Madam President, motion to accept the treasurer's report for April 30th, 2025, and directing the finance officer to pay the bills for the borough of Churchill accrued since April 13th, 2025.
Second.
As is normal, I'll just read out some of the larger bills. The Alka Sand was $175,328.93. State Pipe Services, which is the emergency cleaning of closed sewer lines and sanitary storm sewer, TV and Clean Act, is $60,419.24. Gateway Engineers, $27,831. Vigliotti, $23,084. And the Volunteer Firemen's Insurance Services was $14,090.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to our action items for the evening.
Madam President, motion to adopt resolution 4663 to extend the public declaration of emergency to June 11th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion? Go ahead.
I'm just gonna know, with the extension of the declaration, this opens up an opportunity for the borough to have available funds if they come up from state government. So if we going to be having a chipper out, we might be able to get some assistance with that. And other things that we possibly still need to do.
Great, thank you. All the word, perfect. Because there's many people asking, what does the declaration of emergency mean? And like Michelle said, if assistance opens up later on from the state or the county, that's something that we'd be able to proceed with. That also assists us if there's some sort of contract that we need to do to get a chipper, to get tools to clean up our borough, it would allow us to do that. So that is why we have, we're talking about this right now.
I will say too that the state did reach out to me today to get a rough estimate of what we are spending
Great.
and have spent.
Great,
So I think those discussions are happening at the state level.
perfect. Good, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Already, you know, because we were under the same declaration, like Alex, he was able to provide some equipment
Yes,
that we didn't have access to, you know, quickly, you know, and with that, no cost to help with some of the cleanup too. So that's been helpful and effective because we're under that declaration.
thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to number 7.
Madam President, motion to adopt resolution 4664, recognizing National Police Week, May 12th through the 18th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion?
As part of the discussion, I will read the proclamation.
Great, thank you.
So, a resolution of the Borough of Churchill, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to recognize National Police Week 2025 and to honor the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. And I will read all of the whereas, and whereas there are more than 2.28 million law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Borough of Churchill Police Department. Whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, there are currently 26,959 law enforcement officers in the United States who have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in line of duty. Whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. Whereas there are 25 line of duty deaths thus far in 2025 and a total of 165 line of duty deaths last year. Whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 37th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2025. Whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of National Police Week, which will be observed this year from May 12th through the 18th. Whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Therefore, be it resolved, the Churchill Borough Council will observe May 12th through the 18th, 2025 as National Police Week in Churchill Borough and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and the communities across the nation. Resolved this Monday, May 12th of 2025.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Did anybody want to say any comments about that? That's good.
Thank you for your dedication and public service, and we'll be sure to bring a formal copy over, you know, for you guys to have over at the station. And certainly take, you know, a moment of silence right now to remember our fallen officers and the sacrifice they've made.
Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you to our officers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on to number 8.
Madam President, motion to adopt resolution 4665, recognizing National Public Works Week, May 18th through the 24th, 2025.
Second.
Discussion?
For the discussion, I will read the resolution, Borough of Churchill, resolution number 4665. A resolution of the Borough of Churchill, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to recognize National Public Works Week, May 18th through the 24th, 2025. People, purpose, presidents, and I will be reading the whereases and the that, thank you. Whereas Public Works professional focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Churchill Borough. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated effort of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Churchill Borough to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs and their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th Annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association. Be it now resolved, Churchill Borough Council hereby designates the week of May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. We urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Resolved this day, Monday, May 12, 2025, attested and signed by Michelle McGandrew, our borough manager, and Valerie Fowler, our council president. And I would like to recognize Ralph Zeppelin and our director and saying thank you for all the work that you do in our borough, seen and unseen. And for Brandon and Jeremy, the foremen that work with you at our Public Works Division. Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any carries, any comments?
Madam President, I'd like to just take a minute for both our police and public works to just say.
Specifically after the last week.
Thank you.
Yeah, 2 weeks almost now at this point, yeah.
We're going to the third week, so we're.
Oh. All right, we'll move on to staff reports. We will start with our borough engineer.
Thank you, Madam President. A couple of quick items, for the sewer O&M projects that are underway. There was the invoice from State Pipe. They're about 75% of the way through with CCTV and cleaning the sewers. We have the line striping and rejuvenator contract, both off the bid. Those should be expected to be on the June meeting for consideration for award. The Greensburg Pike School Zone, that's expected to be bid with an opening consideration in July. So that'll be in the next month's meeting. It'll be the following month's meeting. And also we worked with the borough regarding some costs for the small water and sewer grant application. Michelle got that submitted at the end of April. And then lastly, we've been working with Alcosan and Wilkins on regionalization of some of the sewer lines. We're able to get that potential cost to the borough down significantly for that. We should expect to see something from Wilkins in regard to an intermunicipal agreement in the future.
Thank you.
So unless there's any questions.
I just had a quick follow-up question with the greenway and the easement. Did that all get figured out in final language so they can move forward with that?
Yes, we submitted the fully executed copy to the other side to finalize, sign, and record. So we have not received a copy of the recorded document yet, but we should be getting that pretty soon.
Thanks.
Ralph?
Thank you, Madam President. Let's go with fire first. So last month, we had 67 calls for the month, most we ever had. During the storm, events, fire department responded to 39 calls in 24 hours.
Wow.
So that was a lot for us. Just a matter of fact that, we're already at 40 calls this month. That kind of bled over from the 29th into May. As far as public works, we're still working on storm cleanup. We're trying to get other things done, but, the county's supposed to come back in Wednesday, give us a hand to clean some more stuff up. So we're working on that. It's slow moving because there's a lot of, stuff out there. It takes a lot to get rid of a lot of that stuff. So we are working on it slowly but surely. We're picking away at it. So hopefully here in another week or so, we'll be pretty much ahead of the game. That's all I have.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chief?
Yes, Madam President, just a, update on where we're at in the hiring process for a new officer, which we began in March. The process typically takes 4 months. We're through the testing, we're through the interviews, we're through the background that just came back last week. I submitted to Michelle a list of 3 qualified candidates, which was just certified, today by the, Civil Service Commission. So I'll be meeting with council and with Michelle here in the coming, days to discuss our options. We have no veterans on the list, so we can choose any one of the top 3 candidates to hire. We don't have to hire 1, 2, or 3. So I have some input for that, and we'll discuss that, and council will be ready to make a decision. I would hope before the June meeting, we should be ready to announce and make an offer.
Great, that's all, thank you.
Thank you.
Ashley?
Just 2 things. There was a large, tax deposit made by the tax collector that, made after April 30th, so that'll reflect our next month, treasurer's report. And also, it is budget season. We are starting early, but we're starting now. So all the department heads just look out for email.
I don't want to hear.
Exactly right.
You're the majority. Thank you. Michelle?
I just want to give recognition and thanks to borough administration, staff, and police as well. Everyone really, over these last few weeks, worked really hard. We were out here doing more than 8 hours, exhausting every resource we had, even on the weekends, putting time in away from our families to be here and assist the borough residents. So I do want to thank Ashley, Ralph, Scott, Chief, whole police department as well. Also council members too, were very vital in this process. I was out there a lot with council members, particularly I working hard, chasing down PPM like people. So, thank you for that. We are working on getting a chipper in for residents. Residents can't use it, but we'll be driving around and we can utilize. Also, April 29th is debris pickup, correct? Is it the 29th?
Yeah, April or is it beginning April?
Okay. May 29th.
Thank you.
Yes,
We're going back and forth.
residents keep an eye out for that. The dumpster will be removed this week from the lower lot. They said they'll pick it up as soon as they can, so it's still there, but it will be removed.
I'll count for that. I have a question for you, Michelle. So the debris pickup for May 29th, is that for residents that have trees down?
That's the waste management
Waste
debris
management.
pickup,
Okay.
Yard waste.
yard waste.
Because we didn't have
Like
leaves and stuff, trees on our property, and we did utilize the 211 number, and they were right, Johnny on the spot. They called us right back the same day. They came out Sunday, they took pictures. However, they said that they will just take to the curb. So, Ralph, have you heard anything concerning that? That's what we're gonna do, is just leave it. We don't have curbs, so leave it in front. Can you give us some update on what they're telling residents to do? Because that's what we were told to do.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry. I have to look into that.
Team Rubicon, they will
Yes,
not
that's
take
them.
away your yard waste or debris, whatever you have left. They will put it to the curb.
Fine.
And then with Ralph and his team and Vigliotti, then they'll come out with a chipper and take care of that. However, we're gonna have to get the dimensions associated with it. We're not gonna be able to take like
Long.
trees,
Right.
big beige trees.
I don't know what's up there, so residents are asked to, once they take it down, do we contact,
No,
What do we
I
call it?
believe the plan is to go, street by
Street by
street,
street,
in a different pattern
Yeah.
that they have selected. Now, everyone in the borough won't be addressed day one.
Right,
We'll be here for a couple of days, and then we might take a break and then come back a couple more days. So I'll be shooting that out with savvy emails.
Thank you.
Facebook.
And I think the biggest thing to note here is the chipper is only so big and it's not able to take large logs. So in the messaging that will go out to residents, it will be specific as to what kind is the chipper able to handle, right? We can't put, giant tree through it. It's gonna break the chipper. So being specific to residents as to, hey, this is the type of tree brush that is,
Yes.
the chipper is able to handle so that they know what to do with whatever. I'll give you an example. I have giant tree that went down in front of my house, log. There's no way the chipper's gonna get through that. I have to have my insurance come out and handle it, and go through a company.
Okay, that, can you put that out with
And
that?
if there is a large tree.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be able to take it.
Correct.
Just remain there.
Yes.
If you're unsure, just take pictures and send it to office@churchillroad.com. Residents have been doing that for the past.
Oh, thank you, that's
Great.
wonderful.
Great, thank you for
Wonderful.
mentioning that.
Okay, thank you.
Could you repeat that email address or? Office@churchillroad.com.
Office@churchillroad.com, great, thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing too is if you cut it up, if you're able and neatly stack it, you can probably put an ad on Facebook Marketplace for free firewood. And, people drive around and collect that all the time, so if you tell them where to get it, they like picking up when it's already stacked and easy to get. Or if you have friends that make fires in their backyards, there's gonna be a lot of free firewood around.
Well, the borough is aware that there's a Verizon widespread outage currently. I've been communicating with the government affairs at Verizon, and they're still asking, even though I'm reporting it on my end, that you still reported to them, through 1-800 Verizon, and they'll be able to effectively triage you there, but.
Can you send that out as well in the building line, follow up to everyone? That's working very well. And thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Mr. Solicitor? All right, and we'll move on to the table of council if there's any comments anybody would like to speak to.
Do we have an update on Woodland Hills? The demolition at Woodland Hills, anybody? The paper school? Yeah,
Yes, they're supposed to finish by the end of the month.
by the end of
That's what I
May,
was told.
because they're still up there banging and all that good stuff.
That's what I was told. By the end of May, they should be finishing up.
Okay,
Yeah, Dan was in here from the school,
Right.
last Thursday, and he said they made significant progress. Pretty much the whole property is clean and ready to go, but by the end of the month, it will be finalized.
now will they be coming to talk with, Council Borough? We send it to you because we have residents that have been going up on the site itself, getting information, because I haven't had any information to give them. So they've been basically writing up their, Matt will see as well, but Matt said he wrote up there, some of the residents are writing up, trying to get their own information. So
I can reach out to the school district and see if they're willing to provide anything.
that sounds great, if they can come and,
Either speak or,
yeah.
I know they sent out mail
Thank
before,
you. Yeah. that's
anything.
great. Yeah. So we can keep the residents from riding up top. Yeah, I think the biggest concern was, making sure that water doesn't come down on their hip. Part of it has a wall. The neighbor 3 doors over from me is concerned that with everything down, she doesn't want any of her land actually falling down. So if they could please come and talk with us and give us an update, that would be great.
Thank you. Any other council members?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a, excuse me, a small comment about the deer committee. I am actually going to be resigning as the chair, but for a good reason. We finally have enough interest that it will transition from an ad hoc committee to a citizen subcommittee. So, we're gonna be having tryouts. Basically, it'll be just a group of people, they'll run it, do their thing, and, there'll be minor council oversight, basically reports. If they want to try to pass any ordinances, obviously they'll need us, but, other than that, I'm gonna let my little baby birds fly.
All right.
Awesome.
And then the makeup of it, we have a meeting on Thursday. Not really quite sure which direction we're gonna take. We wanted to all get together and kind of discuss it before we made anything official, so.
Thank you so
That's
much.
everything.
Any other council members? Just one thing, Madam President, I just wanted to obviously extend my thanks to Ralph and the team, chief and the police officers. Mayor Paul, I mean, he was out the entire time. Their truck probably has more miles on it than they're great to have along that. Council and staff, because, you know, it was a lot of work and we know how trying it was. I mean, I was off Power Break Day, so I understand. And it was not fun. I now I forget to turn the lights on when I get in my house. I'm just used to it. I'm just used to it, right? It's fine. But I also want to thank the residents too. We know that a lot of people help other people, and that's what Sturgill is about, and that's why I live here and I love it here. So thank you to everybody, and thanks again for all your hard work.
Well said.
Anybody else? I have a few things.
Yes.
Well, I also want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody who helped put together the pasta dinner that we did for our residents, and also thank the residents for coming, because we were scrambling. We didn't at the last minute. Ashley and I were like at Sam's Club, and everybody was chipping in, and that our home council chipped in. Everybody chipped in. This was, you know, our way of helping our residents. It wasn't taxpayer money. This was us, and I appreciated that people came, because it's, you know, at first, and Michelle made all the pasta, which was, you know, while she's working, she's checking out the pasta. Going back, making phone calls, checking on the pasta, doing everything. So, and it really came together, and it was also really, after what everybody's been through. I mean, I was without power for 6 nights, so I could feel everybody's pain, but what everybody went through, it was kind of nice to, and one thing that was great for me, I got to meet so many new residents, even over the weekend, when we kept our building open so people could come and charge, and all of us took shifts so we could be there to help people, you know, charge. And I met a lot of people I didn't know. You know, that was, you know, a good feeling. We were kind of all in this together. And of course, I want to thank, you know, Chief and Ralph and everybody, because people don't even realize how, like, around the clock they were working, you know, getting calls, middle of the night. Our mayor, everywhere, he was everywhere, checking on people. As chair of the communications committee, you know, we're doing our best to communicate, because this was an eye opener, not even so much for us, but Duquesne Light. We weren't getting any communication from them. Michelle was trying her hardest, and the little communication she got usually was wrong information. So here we are posting things that, you know, trying to do our best. I know we can do better. We could have done a better job with our website, but we've been over the past couple of years trying real hard to get people's emails, get more people signed up to Savvy Citizen. I mean, we've been passing out mailers. In fact, I think, Michelle, you said that you and Ashley are going to send out a mailer to everybody in the next few weeks with all our social media. And so you can log on, learn about our Facebook page. All of that's real important, because hopefully this won't happen again, but I'm guessing it probably will. So we need to be even more prepared. And what you talked about, Andrea, is it's also important for neighbors to be helping neighbors. We can't know if there's a 97-year-old woman who lives by herself. We don't know who everybody is. So if you know there's an elderly neighbor, or somebody that's disabled, or somebody that may have a problem, I mean, we all have a problem with this, but a real problem, get to know your neighbors so you know, and check on your neighbors. I think that's what brings Churchill together, and we can all do a better job doing that. We had I wouldn't call it an emergency communications meeting, but we had a meeting a couple days ago just to discuss things that how we can reach out to more people and get more connected with more people. So we're working on that as well. And one more thing, our Churchill dinner is this Sunday. Tomorrow is the absolute deadline that I have to call in the number. So if you're still interested and you still have your newsletter, the QR code is on the back of the newsletter. If you don't have that, go on our website. It's right in front on our website. And if you still don't have a computer and can't do that, call Ashley and she'll find a way to help you out, so you can sign up for the Churchill dinner. But I think it's also, I'm hoping even we'll get we still have some spots. Because maybe this is a good way to celebrate that this is all over. And for now, and I know there's still a lot of damaged places and that kind of, but you know, we have to remember how fortunate we were that nobody got severely hurt or killed. So for as fast as it came, I mean, it just blew through. So for that, I am grateful, and of course, grateful for all of you too. So I think that's all I have. Oh, one more thing that Michelle and I discussed this morning. We think it'd be a good idea, maybe a month or two, that Duquesne comes back and tells us what their plan is, because their plan didn't work this time around. And also, I want this meeting at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, because they gave us 3.5 hours notice to do this. And a lot of people work and couldn't make the 3 o'clock meeting. And I mean, we were scrambling, and we need to do this meeting in the evening so that people who work will be able to attend. So we're gonna work on that, and hopefully you'll hear about that probably sometime this summer. But I'm as curious as anybody else. I want to know what their plan is, so when this happens again, they can be more communicative and more efficient. So I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Before I move on to Mayor, anybody else on council?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have a couple of things. First off, there is council office hours tomorrow from 10 a.m. till noon, so I know at least I'll be there, maybe 1 or 2 other folks as well, but stop in for anyone that's looking for office hours. Got some information here from the state fire commissioner. Recruitment and retention team is going to be here in Pittsburgh, hosting a couple of evenings. So for anyone that's interested in fire service and understanding more about that, or possibly joining, they're going to have some information sessions at 6:30 p.m. May 27th at the Monroeville Public Safety Training Center, May 28th at the Allegheny County Fire Academy, and May 29th at the Upper St. Clair Volunteer Fire Department. So I'll probably be attending one of those meetings, and anyone that might be interested. So that is one thing, we have small borough staff, right? We're 13, total staff, 9 of those being the police officers and chief, who are tasked with the public safety and that side, but certainly not, public works and cleanup. We're a small borough, and part of that is that our volunteer fire company goes above and beyond, especially the last 2 weeks. So I appreciate all of their service, but they need help. It is a bunch of volunteers, but they are small in number and mighty, and they need help as well. So if you're interested, please look at attending one of those events. Let's see here. We will also be, next public safety meeting is going to be on the 20th. So we will be discussing our disaster plans and looking at that as well. I know Scott, who is our employee safety or what emergency response person, was in contact with the county, asking for resources and pushing for that as well. But that's all to say that this was an unprecedented storm. I stood under my deck, in my basement, looking out the back door, with the deck as cover, which I guess after seeing Valerie's deck maybe wasn't the best idea. The deck ended up coming down, so maybe I wasn't as protected as I thought, but there's one tree, that grows up from a neighbor's property and it's kind of dead. And I'm like, for sure, that one's coming down, it's gonna crush my fence. That tree's still standing just fine. The 3 trees that broke off were completely healthy and, 10, 12 inches around, snapped the green wood like toothpicks. So this really was, a storm like we've never seen. Part of that recovery effort is, it takes time, and it takes resources beyond what our borough can have. So we were pushing for that throughout the process. We will be sharing our lessons learned with Duquesne Light and engaging, the folks above us. But, the reality is it's going to take some muscle, from our other elected officials, Abigail Salisbury, our representative, our state senator, Jay Costa, and other folks, to really hold their feet to the fire. Because simply is, small as we are, we don't have that. But we're going to work with them to push for it and continue to get those updates. And I hope to be able to show more as we do that.
Thank you, Matt.
Kind of one thing, sorry, kind of go off what Matt was saying. I know Congressman DeLuzio is currently sending a survey out right now to his constituents to get their feedback about what they learned, what they can gain and all of that from, this event. So if you do get that response, and let them know your feedback.
That's great, and to go beyond that too, Michelle, you know, the Duquesne Light is regulated by the Public Utility Commission, the PUC, so they have, you know, complaint forms online, and I would encourage folks, if they saw issues, you know, or have complaints, fill it out, because without that feedback, then, you know, the state can't hold them accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members before we move on to the mayor?
I would like to thank the mayor, the chief, the day of the storm. First person I see going down the street is the mayor and Matt. You know, and it's really, it just really felt great to know that someone from the borough's right by to make sure that we council members were okay. You kind of sort of don't get that checking on your own, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the chief for speaking up when needed to be, because a lot of times there's battles that we shouldn't be fighting. And because you were out there and you saw the damage and the frustration, and for us to get the frustration, we were all frustrated, but I think it was handled very professionally. I want to thank Michelle and Ashley and the mayor and Deb. I mean, just everybody for the dinner. It was just awesome. You know, there were some people that they couldn't use their stove because everything was electric and they didn't have a meal. But for you guys to put together a meal just for people to come and eat and take a plate home, that to me says in Churchill. That's why I moved here, because this is a very special, you know, community for me, and I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate all the help that my husband and I received. And just, you guys just did a great job, just a good job. Council members,
You too,
especially the office.
You were
I mean,
washing those dishes like, no, that's
do what your hands find to do, you do that. So, you know, we all have different talents and things that we bring, and everybody just brought their A game. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mayor.
Yeah, you know, back to the claims for Duquesne Light, I saw surface on the next door out. That if you call Duquesne like it was a lane, but you lost food. But then the disclaimer said, if it was due to a storm and you lost food, they don't cover that. So this trying to make it like, if you called them, you could get reimbursed for any food that you lost in your freezer. So, and I don't know much about that, but I'm just throwing that out there.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I comment real quick?
Go ahead.
I think when they were here for their meeting, they said specifically that food wasn't covered. But if you had other claims for damage, you know, because of something they did, especially if they were working on your property and maybe dropped a tree on your fence, for example, like that would be covered. So you should fill out a claim with, you know, or could be covered. They didn't say it would be, but they said, please fill out a claim. And what they say, they review every claim.
Yeah, that posted on that next door out. It didn't come from us.
Yeah, a woman also asked if they were reimbursed for the purchase of an emergency generator. They did not reimburse.
That's a good point too, Chief.
But my comments were, I'm gonna narrow it down to our communications to the residents of the borough. A lot of people have texted me, wrote me emails, called me, thanking us for the way we handled it with communication. Although some people felt like we didn't communicate with them. There were many, many more that said that we did a good job communicating. Can we do better? Absolutely. I think we found out through this where those little holes were, where we weren't reaching that elderly population. And again, like Deb said, we don't know who they are. And they said, some of them told me, she just has a flip phone. I don't know, does a flip phone get texts that, but, and I don't know what the situation is. But in those cases, you know, to reach those people, we had Savvy Citizens, we were doing it on Nextdoor app, we were doing it on Facebook, we're emailing people. That's another thing. If you know, make sure we have your email address so we can send out that blast. This way, we've got 3 or 4 different ways to get a hold of you. That's really, really important. And I think after what just happened, maybe people will realize I better get on board and get my information in.
Right.
So that's really, really important. And that's all I really have to say about that situation. And again, like everybody said, everybody pulled together in the borough, how resilient and resourceful people were, using their outdoor gas grills to cook, build fires, whatever they had to do to get through this. And, you know, we all suffered a little bit, some suffered a little bit more, with on 7, 8 days without electric. That's pretty tough. But I think we did, all in all, we did a great job. We're continuing to do a great job in the borough.
Thank you.
That's great, Mayor, and I appreciate that comment. It just made me think, I can't remember what street it was on, but one of the neighbors said like, oh yeah, you know, one of our neighbors loaded up coolers and had to drive out, you know, to get ice, you know, 25 minutes away or whatever, but then came back, you know, with 50 bags of ice in the neighborhood, you know, and then he's driving down the street yelling, who needs ice? Who needs ice? So, like, you know, that's another example of the kindness of our community and how they care.
Steph, you had something?
Well, I just wanted to remind everybody, not this Tuesday, next Tuesday is the primary. And so go out there and vote. It's real important. Some of us are up for reelection, some of us aren't.
Thank you. I wanted to close off with several statements. I have a list, so I will be as quick as I possibly can. One is I'm curious what our savvy sign up rate is after this. We could look into that if we can, please. Thank you. The other thing I want to say is starting in June, from June to September, we will have office summer hours. So we will only have a council meeting the second Monday of every month. Instead of having a workshop and a regular meeting, we will just have one. A lot of us have vacations planned, we have kids out of school, and it's a lot harder for residents to come in and be here. So we want to ensure that we're still here, we're present, we're having meetings. It's just going to happen one time a month, the second Monday of each month, starting from June to September. The other thing that I wanted to say, so I'm looking through my list here, I wanted to say thank you to, I know everybody has said it, but I'm going to say it again, to our mayor, our chief, Ralph, staff, of coming together. As soon as that storm hit, we were all in communication with each other, like, what can we do? What should we do? What's the plan? Who do we need to talk to? Assessing. Matt was driving around, just checking everything out. A lot of us were out of power for 7, 8 days, trying to figure out what to do. I think we learned a lot from this, right? And I think the biggest challenge that we all struggled with was communication with Duquesne. Like Deb said, they were telling us one thing, but that wasn't it. So we're telling our residents, like, hey, your power should be on by tomorrow. That is what they're telling us. And then they come knocking on our door and say, hey, you're wrong, our power is still not on. Right? That isn't okay. That isn't okay for them. That isn't okay for us. That is not okay for Duquesne Light to tell us that information. So I think we learned a lot from what happened. Management and government, which is Vice President Andrew and Council Member Matt. We have meetings, we have things planned. We're going to be talking to Scott, having communications with our county of what can we do. Like somebody said, I don't remember who, this is not the first time this is going to happen, right? There are trees on people's private property that we communicate with them that need to be taken down because they are dangerous. It can be hazardous to a storm. What can we do? What should we be doing? What have we been doing? Do we need to be more aggressive with that? These are all conversations that we will continue to have. We are limited in some things that we can do, but also there are things we should be doing more aggressively. So that's something that we're going to be looking into. That's to answer your what's next, right? There's a lot of what's next. There's conversations with Duquesne Light. I cannot wait to have Duquesne Light here. I know they were here last week, last minute. And I think that's partially because we were all squeaky wheeling it, right? We were all like, hey, we haven't heard from you. Hey, we haven't heard from you. Because I didn't hear Duquesne Light going to any other municipality, right?
Wow.
They came directly to us.
Well, and we got a lot of media coverage.
We got a lot of media coverage. Why? Because we were all squeaky wheels. We were blowing up their emails, their phone, not just us, our residents as well. We did something to get them out here, right? So let's get them out here again. Let's have a plan. Let's collaborate. What can we do too? Because there are things that we can do better. One of the things that we briefly talked about was those residents that don't have a phone, right? Or maybe they don't text, or maybe they don't have smartphones, right? So do we do robocalls, right? Do we do automatic messages? We don't know yet. So that is something that is also being talked about in our committee meetings. I think one of the biggest things I noticed from Duquesne Light, from just talking to them, was that we had a lot of help from other states, which was great. A lot of people came by and helped us. However, it also appeared that the communication between Duquesne Light and those companies was severely lacking. They were there, they didn't have any direction from them, couldn't get a hold of anybody from Duquesne. So that was definitely a struggle. There was plenty of crews here to help, but not enough communication to go around to make things happen. So I think that's something that we're also gonna discuss, like what is their communication plan with outside help from people? What is expected of them? So that is part of it. Thanks to my council members for being in constant communication. We're like, hey, we're gonna check out this street, we're gonna check out this street. We opened up the borough building over the weekend to make sure that staff wasn't here and that we could be here and help out staff, even though staff showed up. We were here helping out and it was really nice. While it was a really tragic time for many of us, it was also a time where we saw our community come together. We met tons of new residents. And I am so incredibly proud of the council that we have, the staff that works with us, our police, our public works staff, our mayor. I mean, I have never seen anything like this. And I'm so incredibly proud of everybody. And I will leave that at that. That is all my thing. All right.
Madam President, just one comment.
Yeah.
I don't have the exact figure, but when I was on Facebook the other day, we were at 700 and some change of people who are following us on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact number, it's a little over 700.
Yeah, they look at the data analytics of what happened in the last 2 weeks and how that has changed. And I think that's important to know.
We also had over 100 people sign up to our reply email.
Right, yeah, that's good. That's awesome.
Can I make one last?
Yeah.
comment? Madam President, excuse me.
Valerie.
So I know there was certainly some frustration in having trees that were down, you know, and lines tangled in them and, you know, folks asking, well, how come the borough can't just come and cut those out? And as part of, you know, an understanding and I think to make sure people understand the reason and the dangers, you know, there was one person killed in Southside because the lines were dead. They, you know, they knew the lines were dead, he was fine, but they weren't. I grew up in the Poconos. We went through Hurricane Ivan and I didn't have power for almost 2 weeks at my house because we had that many trees come down and it was frustrating. It was terrible. But similarly, somebody, you know, in a community that I lived in, died because they went to move a line. Somebody had improperly hooked up a generator to their house. And now that line that should have been dead, you know, they thought it was dead, ended up killing that person. So the reason we can't touch those trees is until we get a line crew to come in. And if you've seen them working, what they actually do is they go up and they put a safety device on the poles on each end of where they're gonna work. So there's no possible way somebody can get hurt. And that was part of what we were waiting on is for them to come and make it safe. I mean, our public works guys were out, you know, the next day after the storm and every tree that they could cut where it was safe or that wasn't entangled with wires was done and out. Like they worked round the clock to get that stuff done. And then we were stuck waiting. So I think, you know, it's just understanding that. And even though we think it's like, oh, but all the power's out everywhere, we can't take that chance. It's too high of a risk that somebody could be hurt or killed. You know, we have to wait to do it safe.
Thank you for explaining that. Even though it's dead, it can still run. They sometimes just kick it in and it can run for a little bit and then be out. So we just never know.
Yep.
Never know. Thank you for that educational piece. Appreciate it.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, have a good night. Thank you so much.